Good evening.
Good evening.
We are here, and once again, it is our great pleasure to be in your reality. That was one send-out there. You definitely knocked on the door of the cosmos with that gonging. Goodness gracious, all the beings are looking your way now. So let's say put your auras in a little bit. You're glowing, you're overglowing. And drop your anchor once again. And welcome to an evening with the P's, an evening with the Hues, as together we will explore the highways and byways of existence. And this weekend's gathering is called Anchoring a New Era. So you will remember how important it is to be anchored into a specific reality. Being anchored in does not close off other realities. It sort of keeps you focused in the here and now. And this is where your power is. The power is in the present. And there's lots going on to want to distract you from all that is brewing to make you empowered. And yet the outside world is let's say, voraciously almost sending out a death knell, because it's the end of things. And you are in this transition time, a changeover we call it. And so you still are operating with some old systems and beliefs, and new things are bursting forward every day, everywhere. If you could see how much creativity, how many new solutions, how many new understandings of reality people are having, it is absolutely a renaissance of consciousness, which is a big word. And these things take time to penetrate into a mass consciousness that is still quite fixed and stubborn and doesn't necessarily want to see the truth. And so things will come crawling out of the shadows. When people don't want to see, then eventually things get blown up to be bigger than ever. Have you ever noticed that?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Good. It's important to recognize. There are laws and patterns and cycles, and they inevitably play themselves out. You must learn to have greater patience with the process of the planetary awakening. We'll also remind you that, there are nefarious forces afoot. They're not going away. However, if you are well aware of the dark shadow side of existence and how it may operate, then let's say some of learning about some of these dramatic things are not for you. Once you wake up, you don't have to be further shaken into looking at how these dark forces operate. Yet it is most important to recognize their footprints, fingerprints, and how they are, for a while, desperate to hold on to an old system and to keep people in fear. It cannot last, but it can be uncomfortable for a while. You follow? Yeah. And because of this desperation to hold on, there may be some radical, dramatic, desperate-like acts that have nothing to ground them into sanity. But when wounded beings get cornered, they can do many strange things. Do you follow this? Yes. And there are so many people on earth who are here to awaken, who have good hearts, who want to build a good world. It will prevail. Do you follow? It will prevail. In the meantime, we're going to talk about the light, the dark, the influences from long ago that are demanding attention today. We'll talk about all the things you can do to assist yourself in feeling centered, in feeling in touch with the spirit in the body that gives you the purpose for being here. Each of you are soul in the body, soul spirit. And you come in for collective experiences. You come in to meet up with your various clans and tribes. And you come in for individual lessons, victories, experiences. The trick in all of this is to not get stuck. throughout the unfolding of linear time, at certain times, time would crawl by. Very little could be accomplished. You've just exited a time that we call the nanosecond, the years from 1987 through 2012. Extraordinarily unique years where things went pedal to the metal in terms of how fast and how much could be experienced and known in a very, very short amount of time. One could compare it to millions of years worth of progress in another or different type of phase of development. Now, whenever there are accelerations of energy, such as you are coming out of, it stirs up the lines of time. It attracts various types of intelligence. So now that the years of acceleration have completed, you are entering a period of encountering a brand new era. This means everything is going to be different. We'll highlight for you some of the challenges, some of the things that will be immediately pressing humanity. Right now, as we scan humankind, we see there are a lot of ill people. Good-hearted people, many, 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 but many of them have dis-ease or ill health in the body. And many of them are lugging the body around, becoming used to not feeling well. There are so many, and often the contributing factors are multiple. We'll see if we can list them. There is fear, and the driving of the element of fear into people's lives in all capacity. Behind fear is uncertainty. It's hot today, no it's not. It's going to be 50, no it's 100. This back and forth, up and down, stock market up and down, political issues up and down. So uncertainty creates stress. Fear creates stress. They weaken the body, which is an electromagnetic field of energy. You live on Earth. Earth has a signature, a home station. It's called the Schumann resonance. You understand? Mm-hmm. It's sort of Earth's calling card. And basically, life fluctuates and flourishes when you are entrained with Earth's vibration. This vibration changes, of course. There are other vibrations that are cosmic vibrations. But when you are connected to Earth by imagining yourself grounded to the center, by walking barefoot on the earth, by digging in the garden and hanging around with nature, these things put you into Earth. This rebalances you. When you go fast, whether you're driving in a car, flying in a plane, or whether you're typing on a computer, and you get involved in fastness and electromagnetic energies and pulses and frequencies, this may give you a thrill, it may give you information, but eventually it weakens the body signature field. It puts you out of sync with Earth's home station. If you get too out of sync with Earth's home station, then Earth can't feed you the electrical impulses that basically keep you alive. Your scientifics know this, but there's no money to be made on sending people outside and getting barefoot. Do you understand? You understand the picture here?
Yes.
And so you can be deceived and so there's been a program for the past 50 years to have people afraid of nature, afraid you might get bit by some creature that will destroy your life, afraid something might sneak up on you, afraid of the sun. Oh, definitely be afraid of the sun. Be afraid of everything. People might come popping out of the woods. So what happens is that people then experience reality vicariously by looking at pictures. And these pictures are on machines, and the machines have electromagnetic pulses and frequencies. And these pulses and frequencies are invisible to the naked eye as you currently use your visual system. But they are not invisible to the cells. Your cells do not like it at all. They start to shut down. You can't sleep. You overeat or you lose your appetite. You start to feel aches and pains. You get chest pains. And it's electromagnetic energies. And now they have smart meters on all the houses to completely control you. You are reaching a crisis point where not only are young children being highly vulnerable to these pulses, these frequencies, and so now 1 in 50 they are predicting now to have a learning disorder of some spectrum. And the numbers are a little high now on Alzheimer's, but believe us when we say that it'll go down to 1 in 5 as they become elderly, 1 in 4. It's not easy to be on Earth and not have all your noodles together. Do you understand? We joke a bit, but it is becoming a catastrophic issue. So that's number one. When we look at the planet, we see a major health crisis is brewing. And then there's the financial debacle that you will survive. Actually, financial upsets will bring out local sources, creativity, and many people over-invested in the material world will come be very humble in realizing that it's not all about storing monies and resources. There's a lot of greed on the planet, and so it's going to have its own fallout. But again, it's one of the least of your problems. Now, some of the stuff that's really going to tip people over the edge are rapid discoveries that are just unfolding. They cannot be hidden anymore. That's part of what the end of the nano brought forward. You are in a time when all delusions, all illusions, all falsehoods, all beliefs that created realities that were built during the Mayan long count calendar, they are now all will be crumbling. So you will be looking at the Sumerian civilization and the Egyptian civilization, which began, let's say, the long count calendar, and the stories from these civilizations will make what you believe to be there pale in comparison. You are entering a time where you must grow up as people and not be milking yourselves and nurturing yourselves on myths that have no truth and no substance. Most people are giving their power away, praying to gods that do not exist. And yet, there is a maker. There is a primal force. And from the opposite points of view, as you look at positive and negative and black and white, it would be a compilation of a man-woman energy as you understand it. But that energy is in all things. You don't have to go looking for it. You are it. And you can spend the rest of your days looking for the source or where it is, and you'll never find it. It is an enigma. Nonetheless, think about it. Set yourself into India and all the rituals around the layers of gods and their hierarchy and the deities. Then you can go into Islam. Everything is forbidden. Even the prophet. You can't know too much about the prophet, and God's name cannot be said. You understand? It is unmentionable. And you can go into the Far East and find all manner of belief systems and all manner of obedience. And often there's rules and regulations. If you behave, then you will be rewarded. If you misbehave, you will be punished. In the larger picture, dear friends, soon, very, very soon, as a people on the planet, you will be dealing with mass insanity and mass eureka, mass euphoria. Some people will say, this is what I've come here for the truth to be revealed. And other people will not be able to compute that visitors from the heavens are not so different than you. You are, as a people, approaching a time when you could go out and colonize space. Not tomorrow, you understand. But the Russians started it officially with Sputnik, 1956, 1957. They are beings who have come to Earth from time out of mind. There have been many, many, many sophisticated technological civilizations that have come and gone. You are dealing with 500,000 years of history, 500,000 years. It's nothing. Think of it in terms of money. It might buy a house. Do you understand? It's not much. And the more you start understanding the truths of some stories and the distortions that those truths took on, it will all start to unravel. There are more records, certainly, than those that have been exposed from the area of Sumer. There are things being discovered right now as we speak around the planet, because it is time for various, what would you call them, time capsules, catches to come forward to open up the bigger picture of reality, while at the same time there are beings who want to really tweak your pictures of existence. There are battles going on the planet for supremacy in terms of popes, priests, and presidents. There's a space war going on concurrently now, battles over the moon, Mars, things of this nature. There's a desperation, a push to introduce people to the cosmic truths, and yet to spin them in such a way that they can be spoon-fed. This is a very exhilarating time to be alive, but you have a lot of realities sort of crashing together. Old beliefs, and you all have beliefs that are based on foolishness. You will encounter them. It's fine. This is part of the new progress. This is part of the new paradigm. And another factor we see of influence is the cosmic forces are very intense these days. And so there are possibilities, there are distinct possibilities of some rattling and rolling in terms of Earth making its own changes. These are to be expected in these times. How to navigate it. Drop your anchor. Have good gratitude. Be willing to know the truth in all manners. Do not find yourself covering up for people or institutions that are not operating with the highest integrity. When you align yourself with falsehood, it's not just those who are being false. You making that choice will get you in a big quagmire. You must be able to recognize the truth whether you want to or not. This is the most immediate issue for you individually and for the people of the planet. And so you will be tested in every capacity. We advise you, don't make excuses for others. If they don't deserve it, then don't rationalize for them. You weaken yourself. You weaken yourself, you get entities. You get other beings jumping in on you. You are at a very crucial point, and you will be here for 5 more years very intensely. Then 10 years of other types of intensity. So you're moving and dismantling something and rebuilding new things. In terms of rebuilding, high creativity coming to the planet now. Very, very, very high. For the next 5 years, a peak of revolution of the mind, inventing new ideas. The problem with inventing new solutions, new ideas, is you must be able to see into the future and how it will affect things, not just because it works today. Because what you build now can trap you or set you free. And these are very important considerations. Use your mind to make pictures of the kind of world you want to live in. Understand that there are many futures to choose from. You create your reality. You may be safe and someone next to you may move into harm because they are expecting it or they are vibrating in fear. Your power ends where your fear begins. Fear is a handy thing to feel if it is a warning. If you carry it around as a best friend, then you are mistaken in the friendship. Do you follow? Fear is not something to carry with you. It is something to recognize when it pops up as a warning. But there's nothing to be afraid of. You came here to achieve things, and so we say go out and create the best. So now we'll turn it over to you. We have quite a rest of the evening here, quite a bit of time to fit questions in, and see if you can keep your questions brief. Let's begin and state your first name loud and clear.
Sarah.
Who is it?
Sarah.
Sarah, welcome.
Hello. Is there a being behind the persona we call Jesus? And if so, is that being pro-humanity or working against humanity?
Well, that's a big question when you're talking about the character Jesus. Historically, Jesus is a composite being. There has been no being just Jesus as the stories in the Gospels portray. The Gospels were written decades and decades after Jesus. And just as you have those who want to have power and to manipulate you with the media today, it was done thousands of years ago with the written text. Jesus' story is a, let's say, reminder of the Set Osiris story from Egypt. And Jesus is also a sort of good guy, bad guy front for the Anunnaki. Now, 2,000 years ago or thereabouts, in terms of historical record, there were beings who walked the earth, and the Jesus story is based on two brothers. And these brothers had what you would call royal blood. In those days, and today into modern times, there are people on the planet who look to track the lineages. 2,000 years ago, it was records. You followed the genealogy was records, oral often, hidden often. Today, well, many people don't know their history back for 100 years. And then you have the Mormons who come along. And the Mormons, their big specialty in the modern world is to track genealogy. And let's say they are looking today, you have many options to go on the internet and to join some, let's say, web page or something and have your ancestry researched. You have DNA sequencing being researched. But what's behind all of this is people behind the scenes are wanting to see who amongst the 7 billion plus people on the planet, who has Anunnaki blood, who has Pleiadian footprints, who has Syrian footprints. So Jesus and his brother, so to speak, who was called Judas according to the story, not as you would understand it in the Bible, they were the good brother and the bad brother. Again, mimicking or playing out the roles of Enlil-Enki, of Set and Osiris, and this becomes a mythical archetype, a story. And then you say, who is Jesus when people pray to Jesus if he never existed? Well, when you create something so big, whether it is real or not, it has a life of its own, a thought form. So one could say that Jesus exists as a thought form. Now, would it be possible for Jesus to descend to earth in a cloud and satisfy all the people looking for the second coming? Piece of cake in terms of technology. Understand this, that the gods of old, they loved pageantry, they loved theater, they loved ritual, and they never gave it up. Look at your religions. Pageantry, ritual. You follow this? Yes. Opulence. You are mimicking these beings. And understand that those who vie to control you, they're not all bad. they're not all good. And so they don't give you all complete lies. Just as the global elites will step into something and give you 7 truths and 3 mistruths. And then you'll say, well, it sounds good, but I'm not sure. And this is the downfall of humanity. Your inability to recognize truth from deceit. As you know, this is the big step you must next approach. So that's as much as we want to say right now about Jesus. But any character who has no historical footprints, and yet whose name has been used to go out and destroy and kill how many, can't be very good. You understand this? Because which Jesus do you want? The Jesus that it's okay to kill in his name? Or the Jesus who says turn the other cheek? So there's been a huge distortion in using godlike figures, that many of them are not real people, so to speak, or they have been bloodline descendants of the Anunnaki, and so they have some abilities to do things. It's very confusing. It's going to get more confusing, and wow, will certain elements in the world go bonkers, without mentioning names. But some people will go bonkers when they found out that their God is not really who they thought their God was. You get the drift? Mm-hmm. Who has a question? And that's a paradigm shift. To dismantle the God myth, and yet still remain good and do good acts as a people? Can you be good people without, quote, God looking over your shoulder? Yes, because you're going to raise your vibration. And raising the vibration and seeing the truth, the story of religion does not fit with it. This is the big disassembling that's coming. Questions, please.
Sam?
Sam, welcome.
Welcome to you.
Good, nice, good, strong voice. We like it.
Yes, could you elaborate on your reference to craniosacral and hippocampus in part of our evolutionary process that was mentioned in your Earth book? I want to know if that has changed. Is there more being revealed, how to access the hippocampus through craniosacral?
Let's say this. Things are revealed when the question is asked in the proper way.
Okay.
And the question is always asked in such a way that there is a demonstration of prior knowledge. Mm-hmm. And so we have provided you with teaspoons of information over the years. For 25 years we've given you huge buffets. Mm-hmm. And it's a bit at a time based on how we read the energy and how we read the current understanding of reality. Now you are well aware, Sam, that a very small portion of the brain is utilized. Mm-hmm. And that you are well aware that these bones float around, yes?
Yes.
And that by moving the bones, you make space in the cranium.
Yes.
And certain neural link-ups occur. Now, this is not new information, but perhaps you have not heard us say it before. Technically, the physiologists will look at the body and they will say, well, look, the veins turn to arteries and they turn to capillaries and then they appear to disappear. And the nerve endings, they get smaller and smaller and they appear to disappear. But then they appear outside the body. So the important thing to understand is that when you are working on someone's head, whether you are cranial sacral or whether you are hairdresser, stick with us.
Yes.
They're both doing the same thing.
Yes.
You are adjusting the area outside. You are adjusting, the saints, they have the halo here. Mm-hmm. You are also working in this capacity. And it's important to understand that when you are working on people's cranial area, yes, you may say the bones have certain structures and a path of commonality, but it is very different for each person. And when you are working on the brain, you are also can be working on any energies, memories, all this that the people are carrying around. To get the most effective work out of working on the cranium, you must work with the chakras. And you can do a very simple chakra alignment, as our vehicle explained. Put the roses in, red, orange, yellow rose, green rose in the heart, and then blue, violet, white. And right away, you will change the energy field of the person. Or you could have them look at the colors of these roses before you work on them. Everything can happen faster now, because the nano were years of training, of dealing with the fastness, of managing the energy and the pressure. Now you have to get to work. It's easier to see what needs to be done. It's easier to create, get an effect, a fast effect. What else, Sam?
Is there a point of interfering with the soul purpose in doing this work if not done respectfully? I have concerns when I do this work. I always ask permission
Of course.
to enter a person's field.
Yes, you would always want to ask permission.
Not to be intrusive.
You would always want to ask permission. And always work respectfully. And work as if you are establishing a new protocol for a medical profession on the planet. With respect, as a physical and non-physical being. And work always with the goal of improving the flow of energy and chi through the body, because that's what you are doing. You are unblocking the chi. Now, when you unblock the chi or unblock the energy in a person, the reason it's blocked in the first place is because there's a story that needs to be looked at. People get ill because the story is not resolved, or no one wants to hear the story, or they've built up these increments of chapters and they've got such a story they're carrying around they can't articulate it, because the story is all in feelings. It's never been acknowledged. Feelings can make you very ill. Ideas can make you ill. Energies can make you ill. Life can make you ill. And yet, all these things can make you well. Now, let's say this to all of you as a general. Make peace with your body and trust it, first of all. Do not be suspicious of it. Do not think it's going to do something in the night that you don't want. Don't go around being afraid to take a shower, because if you rub yourself, you might touch something that's not supposed to be there. Society wants you to get that way because they make money off of you. Dare to believe that you have a vital body. Dare to believe that even if you are ill, that there's a story there. And so you can say, if the illness is in your toe, all right, talk to me, toe. If the illness is in your genitals, say, speak up, genitals. Tell me your story. Where's the wound? Where's the pain? How can I get to the source of the story, understand why I am not well, how can I change, what do I need to do, and then move forward. This is going to be the nature of healing in the future, with support, with simple support, because the medical system is going to crash. Not tomorrow, but it cannot accommodate and serve the people's needs any longer. People want to be well, but they also want to have their stories heard. And you all have rich, wonderful stories. Because whatever your story is in this lifetime, it ripples across the lines of time. And as you become more psychically tuned in, and you learn how to move energy through the body, you're going to remember more and more. It's going to take a few decades for all of this to unfold. And we'll add something else that's going to transpire in the next few years. With inventions and understandings, there's going to be a greater sense of people moving the energy through their body, so living longer. Not lots of people, not lots of them, but many of you will figure out how to just chug along and feel good about it. You're also in a time when there will be soft rejuvenations. within 40 years, there will be major discoveries about how to keep people alive a long time, and then you will be playing the God game. That is the tree of life. And once you get into living a long time in immortality, it's a whole nother ball game. Mm-hmm. Just like the ability to create life outside the womb is a whole nother ball game. That's what got the gods in trouble, you know. That's where the whole thing starts. It starts with sex. It starts with cheating. It starts with building life forms outside the womb. What's new comes around again and again. You will deal with this as a society in your own capacity. Will the story go away? It's a story that is a long-term soap opera. And it has many, many solutions, many ways it plays itself out. Where's the question, please?
Rachel.
Rachel, welcome.
Thank you. I want to say, first of all, I love you guys, and thank you for having been with me through 4 books and lots of years.
Good.
And my question is, how would someone like me go about encouraging an even more close relationship and friendship with you guys?
It's not something that is going to serve you at this time. You're little, let's say, we appreciate your accolade and what you are offering as in terms of friendship, but we see that you have a life to live. We see that you have duties and responsibilities. And so in order to, let's say, get approval from your star family, take care of business.
Okay.
You understand? Be more grounded, be more responsible, follow your dreams, anchor something onto the planet that can make a difference for people. But don't think that hanging out with Pleiadians is going to, let's say, help you be more productive. Our advice, we offer our descriptions, our pictures of reality, so that you can become more of who you are. Not necessarily hang out with us. All right?
Understood.
Good. Who has a question, please?
Janet.
Janet, welcome.
Thank you. I was wondering, Asheville seems to be an area that many people move to, and they're not sure why. I just did this a couple weeks ago, and I've run into so many people that just moved here. You know, they from other places in the States.
And if you went to other places in the States, you'd meet people who had moved here and left. Do you understand?
Yeah.
It's a place that it's sort of on the list of people that look for, who are mobile and who want to check things out. And some of the other places, Sedona stands up there, Santa Fe, different places in Colorado. Lots of people came from California. Asheville, this area is, let's say, the East Coast portal for these kinds of things. You follow? Yeah. And certainly Asheville, North Carolina, has a history. First of all, the Cherokee were still here, but they used to be here in much greater number. And the Cherokee story is that their ancestors are Pleiades. They have come from the Pleiades. Also, North Carolina has a lot of gold in those hills and a lot of quartz crystals. They run hand in hand together. Gold, as many of you are starting to understand, was deeply sought after by the Anunnaki. And we have suggested in the past that North Carolina is old, very old territory of Atlanteans and visiting gods. You're starting to figure out and put it together that Atlanteans, basically the Anunnakis, established the various Atlantean aspects of civilization, of which there were highs and lows at a number of locations. So there's an energetic here from long ago, from the Cherokee. That's not so long ago. From way, way long ago, there would be things that were buried or sequestered here by East Coast giants, and certainly there were many giant beings along the East Coast. There was a time 8,000 years ago, some such in that vicinity, when there were highly advanced and major metropolitan call them metropolitan, that's your modern term. Major areas where lots of life lived, and these were giants. And some of it was in the south. Of course, the mounds, as you well know, are old giant territory, and you are not so far from the mounds here. So often, all of you are drawn to go to places where you may like it aesthetically and maybe a convenient or hip place to be, but there's stories underneath and you pick up the threads of energy. And then some people say, well, I liked it, I was there and I left. And this is what many people are doing in this lifetime. They are gathering the story on a cellular level, on an energetic level, but the P is boggled. The conscious mind does not know why. Do you follow this?
Yes.
That's what it makes life even more and more interesting. Because, well, if you knew everything, you wouldn't be here. That's how it goes. Who else has a question?
I have a question.
Yes.
My name is Peggy.
Peggy, welcome.
Thank you.
And happy birthday. You just had one, didn't you?
Yes, I did. Thank you very much. I have a question about the Anunnaki and how much they're influencing today's, and are there still pure Anunnaki here on Earth and influencing what's going on? I read that book that's in the P Times. How they built civilizations in the Sumerian and in the pyramids and things like that.
So how much influence do these Anunnakis still have?
Yes.
Culturally, they've got it zipped up, do you understand?
Mm-hmm.
In terms of religions. And years ago we said that your religions are actually sort of custodial organizations. They sort of herd people together, give them some rules, and give them something to belong to. And if you really want, the principles of war are such that if you really want to control a group, you operate with divide and conquer. And so your religions divide the planet. So the Anunnaki, of course, have an extended lifetime. They live a long, long time, hundreds of thousands of years. And so you would be dealing with the progeny, the descendants of some of these Anunnakis. Now, in terms of the Nephilim, that's a biblical term, the Nephilim were considered to be the children of the Anunnaki. But all of this is hidden because who did the Anunnaki have children with? It was all a big mating program. You understand?
Yeah.
So to find the pure bloods, even as you were looking at the pharaonic line in Egypt, from Akhenaten forward, let us say, and that would be about 1500 BC. From that time forward, there was a great depletion of the connection. And even prior to Akhenaten, the high bloodliners existed far into antiquity, And what happened is the blood got more diluted, and the people did not have the same telepathic link with the Anunnaki. The blood wore itself down. And the Anunnaki themselves were very self-destructive beings. For beings who could not die, so to speak, in the normal terms, they engaged in what you would call therapy, behavior that needs a lot of therapy. They were highly sexualized, no morals, highly incestuous. It's where your incest comes from. It's where your war comes from. It's where your deceit comes from. The fighting with each other. It is astounding if you knew them as cosmic neighbors. You would be appalled that they would be considered to be gods on another planet. Or imagine that you are living somewhere and you have some neighbors and they are big family and you just know they are not the greatest at all. They have low morality. They have dirty yards. They are funky, but they're smart. And then imagine that you hear that they're big stars somewhere, like on a reality TV. You getting the picture? If you can take the picture of these visiting gods from long ago and shrink it down to you are doing today what they did, only you are little mimickers. They had devices, they had technological savvy, they are multidimensional, they are not linear in your terms. They are shapeshifters. Not really, but that's the best word we can use to describe them. So would there be full-fledged Anunnakis here? They went into we say they, the US military, went into the Middle East for the last 20 some odd years now, since 1990-91, in that vicinity, to bomb the heck out of Anunnaki territory. Why? Because there are portals there and things come through. There are underground complexes all over the Middle East. So in terms of bloodliners, part of the hunt in the DNA sequencing and the ancestry is to look to see who else has this bloodline that is not currently in the club. You follow this? Mm-hmm. The royalty and other people on the planet, there's lots of them that they know that have different smidges of blood. But this blood is unstable. And understand this, that even with the poorest genome, in the weakest DNA, a soul spirit can come in and open it all up. Because it is the evolution and the maturation of the soul spirit that determines how the DNA are used. Now the Anunnaki, they live a long time. They don't have time to be out of the body, evolve, and come back in. In certain terms, their evolutionary cycle is extremely advanced but limited. In 1,000 years, or let's say in an age, 2,200 years, there's 100 generations. Were you to come in each generation, you could pop in 100 lives in 2,000 years, if you want to do it. It would be a whirlwind. Do you follow? But what happens when you're in, out, you forget the story, but you can evolve more quickly. When you're living 30, 40 years, 50 years, 100 years, you just start putting it together and then you die. And then you can't put the story together. This is how the Anunnaki control you. They control you by longevity, to some extent. But we'll tell you this, you wouldn't like it if you lived even 300 years. You'd find it very boring, unless all your friends lived together. And then you would be such that if all your friends lived 300 years, how many more people could you let be born and live 300 years? You'd have to control it. Do you follow? Do you see why they have to control it? How can you let everybody live hundreds of thousands of years? And a bigger picture, it's a reality that you incarnate into, where you find yourself, where you discover yourself. It's important to understand the history of the planet, but more than that, it is important that in any incarnation that you live in, that you feel successful, that you have love, that you enjoy the fruits of your labor, that you, if you want to make more of yourselves through children, and you enjoy food and sunsets and the material world. This is what you come for, the material world. There are things in it you cannot get anywhere else. So to be engaged in fighting, let's say, demons and shadows and conspiracies, you must understand it, of course, because if you understand the past, you can free yourself in the present. But all of this is part of a larger story that gives you a place to be a context. And your job, again, is to live the best life you can within a context of understanding. Where's the question?
This is Ronnie.
Ronnie, welcome.
Thank you. My question is about gold. So we've spoken a lot about the Anunnaki and others coming here to mine gold.
Well, quick question.
Yes.
You don't have to
I'm
explain the
wondering
question.
What is the value to them of gold? Sensing it has something to do with immortality?
Well, gold has been used for immortality. There's no doubt about it. Gold is an insulator as well. And the part of their story is they use it to insulate their planet from radiation. But it is also, yes, connected to the immortality of what they need to extend their lives. And your planet is full of gold. So have other planets been. And the Anunnaki, along with others, often mine asteroids. You have the asteroid belt out there, between Mars and Jupiter? And that's been a hotbed for mining, for all kinds of things. And part of some of the reasons that there's been such a secrecy about the space program from Earth point of view is that when Earth-based beings have gone up there, they encounter the ETs. And then if they were to talk about it on the planet, then it would disrupt the scientific paradigm and it would disrupt the religious paradigm. And so there's been a battle over mining and who owns what, and Mars used to be, let's say, a laboratory, another genetic laboratory, until the battles and things up there. So mining for gold in your solar system is very important. And over time and through the course of history, gold has become so precious to you because it was precious to the beings that were long considered to be God. And these beings were considered, and they evolved to be a one God because they set themselves up that way and because they could do things that boggled the rest of the planet. Now, understand that there were lots of these Anunnakis, and they were all battling each other, and they're always in competition with each other. And they had a strong psychopathic link within their own genome. You follow? They would do crazy things. They have blown up this planet over gold. They have created atomic wars. They have fought each other. They have deceived each other and deceived the people of Earth. And so you operate under this umbrella of ignorance. And so gold now today, look, you had a crash recently. Yes, it just went way down. This will go back up. We were talking about this recently. There's a number of stories about how in the early years of the space shuttle program, gold was taken into space on the space shuttles. Where did the space shuttles go? They went to the space station. Or so they say they went to the space station. You don't know where they docked, do you? You have no idea. Are you aware that the shape of the space shuttle, you understand the shape of it, yes?
Yes.
Like a long rocket and little wings on the side. This shape has been found all over the planet in terms of it is a replica of an Anunnaki craft. Yes. Things cycle around again and again. So it's amazing in certain terms that all this is going on around you, in front of you, in the heavens. And then the media will say, well, it's this, and people then repeat what the media says. You all are guilty of this. You all often repeat what the media says. And then this way they get you to hypnotize each other into ignorance. So the gold was originally found, at least in the last 500,000 years, in great abundance in South Africa, but India as well. And it's not that these beings were just after gold, they were after tin, they were after diamonds, they're after many things. And is this so unusual? Not at all. Not at all. Think about these beings as colonizers. Colonizers, you can think of any organization today. So you have DICOR, yes, that is a no-goodnik corporation that goes in and sets up all kinds of things in war zones. DICOR is their name, all right? Imagine the DICOR goes to some other planet, then DICOR, the people who are hired by DICOR, they become gods on another planet. They pass themselves off as supreme royalty because they work for this corporation and they are going into space. Shrink your stories and you'll start to understand you've been had as a people. It's all right, because interspersed in all of this, we as Pleiadians came many times during the last 500,000 years to breed with you, to leave other star seed DNA so that you were, let's say, not just stuck with Anunnaki and what they did to your genome. Syrians came, Arcturians came, an untold number of others. Beings can come as a frequency and then take on a shape. You had a movie.
Starman.
Yes. Who is it? Starman?
Yes, it's Starman.
Yes. But he came as a frequency of energy and then took on a body?
And they showed it in the movie. He took a piece of hair with the DNA, and that's how he made the body.
Well, right. So these things are not so far-fetched as you may think, and recognize that many truths are put into the movies, and it's called revelation of the method, revelation of the truth. But the movies are supposed to be fantasy. And because you can't tell the difference and you get so impressed with things that you get mixed up. So think of the gold on your planet as a currency for others, a essential part of them living. And you wear it because you mimic them, because you want to be them. That's how old the memory is. And when you take gold rings and you say, here, I put this ring around you, you are literally carrying on an Anunnaki ringing or enclosing you into, let's say, a certain sphere of influence. Keep your rings on. You don't have to rebel with this. Husbands and wives are looking at each other. You don't own me, I don't own you. But these are the traditions. And so whether you understand what influences you, it certainly does. And it's looking at all these things, it's timely to break out of these things. Who else has a question?
This is Sky.
Sky, welcome.
Thank you for this explanation. It's going to take a little time to comprehend what we're just hearing. And I would like to, I lost my train of thought. Thank you for this, and I'll probably think of the question tomorrow.
All righty. But it's stirring you up a little bit, in other words.
Absolutely.
And what is it that's giving you, what is it that sort of tweaked you?
The various bloodlines coming besides the Anunnaki, and wondering what is in my own bloodline, and wondering also what exactly, if all of this is related to the machine riders. And are the Anunnaki related to the machine riders?
Oh, the Anunnakis, let's say, in modern times now. In modern times, the past 500,000 years, they are your premier machine riders. They had the devices. They call these devices maze. And these devices also were connected to a code of behavior. You don't have anything, it's not like 10 Commandments or business protocols or something. These are codes that structure reality. They are thought forms, but they have energetic frequencies. It's the best we can do. But the gods had these devices. And if you had the device, you were top dog. You were top god. Because everything was in the device and you could set up anything that you wanted. We often sort of joke and say that the karma of the gods has now become that of humankind because you can all have the godlike devices in your hands. They give you the power to hold data, to be any place in the world, and yet most people don't know what they're doing with them. They are just as dangerous now to you today as they are in ancient times. In ancient times, the gods used their devices to create nuclear wars. Today, people are using them to irradiate themselves. And the problem today is you have too much technology and your smarts have not evolved enough to understand what you're playing with. Yet in the larger scheme, it is karma to play out the games of the gods. It is karma to mimic them unless you wake up. And yes, it is important to understand that Earth is a living library. And one could say that the Anunnaki sort of decided to stake claim here after or following a period of tumult. So one could say they were the latest batch of colonizers. And it wasn't their first time here 500,000 years ago. They had been here prior to that. And you must understand parallel lines of time and how they cross each other. Because the P is saying, well, when did this happen and is it all in history? History is made up in certain terms because nothing happens in a linear capacity. But your mind has been trained to believe that it does. This is a big one now. So they track through the last 500,000 years for, as Ronnie said, they're looking for gold, they're looking for mining, but they're also here for the genetic library. And the genetic library came first and foremost. And life did not spontaneously evolve. It was designed. And you evolve within the life form. But the life form must be created. It doesn't come from nothing. So other beings also use the library. And as Pleiadians, Anunnaki, Syrians, many of we stellar beings are designers of life. And we have put our designs and entered them into the library. In purely practical terms, there are safeguards that prevent beings from inventing lives and just tossing that life onto the library. One wrong life form entering the library could destroy it. It could disrupt the entire ecosystem. So the brilliance of the geneticists, and we've often said the reptilian line are the master geneticists. They are not the only geneticists, but they are the premier designers of life. Very old type of consciousness. They are the wise ones, and they are the troublemakers at times. And it is important to remember that do not take sides and say, well, I'm with the Arcturians, they're better than the Dracos or something. That's such simplistic thinking. Any group that you are going to take, Anunnaki, Pleiadian, reptiles, giants, all of them, they have their good characters and they have their not so good characters. Because all life forms have spirit that enlivens them. Your spirit enlivens you, if you are fortunate, 80 to 100 years. The Anunnaki has a spirit that enlivens them for hundreds of thousands of years. That spirit is the evolving factor. So when you take all this into consideration, there's lots of room to grow, there's lots of places to be, and Earth is influenced by all of these characters. All of them.
I have a question.
Yes.
Jane.
Jane, welcome.
Thank you. And I understand that in the future we're going to be healing more directly by working consciously with our DNA and our DNA field.
What does that mean?
Well, we speak to it all the time, but we're often doing it unconsciously.
Yes.
You know.
So we wanted to know where you were at with it. What we have suggested is that if you think of your DNA, well, it's perfect. If you walk out of this room and look down the corridor, You see the corridor and all those doors? That's a model for your DNA. And every door opens to a room, yes? And if you think of your DNA as having switches or doorways, and the switches are open, they open up what's in that capacity. The Anunnaki close things down. Now, there's certainly on the planet all manner of machinery that wants to work with the DNA. But the DNA is, you will figure out how to be most responsive to it, get the most response from the DNA by using consciousness and shifting consciousness to shift the DNA. So what do you want to know specifically?
Well, I just want to know if you could elaborate more on that, because of the fact that it's our power to heal ourselves by being intentional with how we can work with our DNA to heal anything. And it can go a long way back, such as our Akashic records and soul history.
Here's something that you need to understand about healing. It's not simply about, ooh, there's a hole in the wall here, let's get the plaster and we'll cover it up. The hole in the wall representing, let's say, a disease or something wrong with the body. Everything is recorded in the DNA. And the DNA has a highly telepathic capacity to it. So the story must be understood in order for the healing to transpire. So the DNA is loaded with stories. Those who want to work on DNA healing will be able to hear the stories in the DNA, talk to the DNA. It would be like the people who can go up to a plant and the plant will tell them how to use the plant. You follow this?
Yes.
And it's a telepathic communication. And animals have this capability. Animals can go to plants and the plant, the animal will know, when you have a tummy ache, eat me. If you are tired, eat me. Now the animal doesn't have the language you have. How does the plant communicate this to the animal? So then this says, what is communication? Is it words? Is it writing? What is it? It's intent of sharing ideas. And the living library, when it's operating at full capacity, or not full capacity, when it's operating at its peak of let's say, optimum wellness, everything in the library wants to help everything else heal. It's supportive. What makes things disconnected is the fear. Humans have so much fear of Earth, so much fear of animals, plants, creatures, and their body. And it's happened really extensively over the last 1,000 years to an extraordinary level. And the Catholic Church has been very much a part of that. Very much. You're sinned, you're flawed, you understand? You're cursed. Your genitals are bad. So all of this must be re-examined and looked at, and you can see yourself as an energetic being. It does not mean that you're free to do whatever you want. You are free to do whatever you want, but you will pay the consequences if you create harm or whatever. So understanding the stories carried in the DNA, and then finding the purpose of it. Once the purpose is accessed and learned, then the DNA can go on healing, looking, searching. The DNA responds to sound and color and light.
Sam,
Yes, Sam.
we're speaking of wars, we're speaking of other races, we're speaking of different planets. Back and forth. Is there such a thing as completion?
Some types of consciousness want a completion. So they set up a type of completion. And one could say that the entire multiverse could at some point decide that it's completed and collapse in on itself. But then would it get curious again and reinvent itself? More than likely. So what is a completion in those terms? Death, in terms of living, is sort of a completion. You get to complete a life. The multiverse right now it's in this expansion, never-ending mode. It's energy. It's dreamed up by the Creator. Could it create its own demise? Yes. Yes. Yes, of course. Is that a completion? Depends what the word really means. Who's question?
Lisa. Lisa does.
Lisa? Yes, welcome, Lisa.
Thank you. So, in response to what you said about being sensitive, or the DNA is sensitive to color, light, and sound, I personally am very sensitive to images and animals not being treated well, and I feel like I almost need to live in a bubble at times. In that beginning thing that the barber talked to us about was the cloaking and the color and the grounding. Will this be a tool for me to get stronger with that, or
yes, that's exactly what you need, because you don't want to lose your passion for caring for animals. Do you understand? But you don't want to be able to feel every pain every animal is going through. You follow this? That would make you overly sensitized, and then it can hamper moving forward in life. So you want to keep your connection, and these are heart chakra connections. You want to keep those connections, the empathy, the compassion, but you can't, if you're oversensitized and you're feeling every ache and pain of all things, then you're too wide open. So then you would use the cloak. And our vehicle, we believe, said to you, the Pisces and the Libra. So too much Libra, too much Pisces. You become overly sensitized, and then there's a distortion of the world, because Libra wants everything to be nice and doesn't want to look at anything that's not nice. And then there's rage underneath. The Libras are the rages, because everything's always copacetic and sweet. They don't want to look at the dark side. Where Scorpio next door is saying, hey, wake up, look at the dark side, and you don't have to be in rage. And Pisces connects to all things. It doesn't make boundaries. So these two aspects of the zodiac can keep you too wide open, make you too sensitive, and then you make up stories and you hide from the world because you're overly sensitive. For Libra, don't make stories up for other people. Say yes when you mean yes, and no when you mean no. Libra's biggest weakness is to say yes when Libra wants to say no. And Pisces is it's always connecting to too much. So wear that cloak, be grounded, and have a strong aura. The strong aura will keep you from picking up too much stuff. Check that aura every day. Many of you leak. You leak because you're too compassionate. You leak because you think it's your job to fix everyone else. Take care of yourself. Strengthen yourself. It will not make you insensitive. It will make you stronger. And as you are stronger, you can keep your sensitivity, but you will be able to accomplish more and do more.
Well, a big part of it is television, like the images, and you can't totally escape them in your whole life.
Well, certainly you can. Our vehicle stopped watching in 1973. She's lived without a television all these years.
They're at the gym, they're at venues, they're at restaurants. I mean, they're everywhere. They really are.
Dear lady, you may have to start going places where they are not. They are everywhere, but you have to go to the places where they are. There's some restaurants that don't have them. Airports, yes, they have them. There are some gyms that don't have them. And what are you doing working out in the gym when you can work out in nature? In other words, you are acting as if you have no choice, that you can't escape TV. Our vehicle never sees TV unless she goes to the airport. She doesn't go to restaurants where there are TVs. She walks into a hotel room, unplugs the TV, puts a towel over it. So, you have choices, you can change everything. And of course, this means changing your lifestyle. Change your lifestyle, then your friends say, what's happened to you? You got weird. We can't relate to you anymore. But we'll tell you something. Part of getting more sensitive is a spiritual activation that helps you move away from the things that disrupt you. And if you keep running with the pack, then you'll always be with the pack. In order to get on the spiritual path, it can be lonely, it can be isolating, and you will leave people behind because they won't relate to what you're doing. Yet if you do not take care of yourself and do not figure out that you are a sensitive being, it can really mess up your health. Once you get on the spiritual path, it never lets you go. And so you have to make changes. The great thing is you're not alone. There's lots of others who've had to change their diet, give up TV, give up lots of things. And you know what? They all say they're much better off. It's that initial getting rid of that can be difficult, but you can do it. And you will mature into it. And you will become a wise woman one day. And you will laugh at the things that you thought you couldn't get rid of. That's a long way off, but just stick to it. And get a different gym. We don't like the gym you're working out at all. Bad vibes. Bad vibes. No, we read it.
I'm with you.
It's bad
Thank you. I
vibes.
needed to hear that.
Good. Good. Well, that's good. You see, we lay it out the way it is, and that's fine. And so now we are laying it out. The beeper beeped, and it's the end of the evening. It flew by, yes? It just flew by. Let's see if we can end with something really, really important to let you know, to remind you. Don't lose faith in yourself. Never think that your life is insignificant or who are we poor people compared to those powerful global elites or those Illuminatis. These people are messed up. They are messed. Do you understand? Your presidents of all the countries, all these people are a mess. They're nervous wreck. They don't sleep at night. Their bowels don't work. They may be rich. They may be able to act as if they are slick, but they are a mess. The visiting gods are a mess. They can't figure you out. You understand? You are being imbued now with good doses of energy. Your sense of humor is your saving grace. Your love of one another, your ability to laugh, to care, to have parties, to enjoy food, to be creative, to love the earth, and to find love and to love one another. These are your victories, and no one will take them away from you. You are anchoring a new era. It's just begun. Have good time with it. Be audacious in your dreaming. Be practical in your execution of all your endeavors. And we'll see you on all the highways and byways. Create the best, dear friends.